The city never sleeps, neither do the ghosts. Neon bleeds across the rain-soaked street. A specter drifts on every heartbeat. Nobody sees the ones who move between the flashing light and the dark unseen. She runs the city like a fever dream. Nothing is ever quite the way it seems. Every corner holds a story twice. Every shadow has a selling price. You see the lights but not the cost. You see the glow but not the loss. The neon specter knows the code, the hidden price of every road. A neon specter move through the night, burning electric, burning so bright. You are the ghost in the city machine. You are the truth behind every scene. Neon specter cut through the rain. Every city block knows your name. You don't own the streets, but they know you. You are the light that the darkness runs to. Heat in the engine, heat in the base, heat in the specter who's leaving no trace. Move, specter, move through the block. The city runs on you around the clock. At 2 a.m. the city drops its mask. Nobody left to answer what you ask. The neon specter takes the empty lane, moves through the frequency of acid rain. She knows the exits and the shortcuts wide. She knows the city from the underground side. She built her empire from the overlook. From every page nobody ever looked. The city thinks it runs itself at night. The city thinks the neon is the light, but underneath the grid and wire is a specter feeding every fire. Neon specter, you are the code, running underneath the electric road. You are the curve and no one names. You are the fuel behind the frames. You want specter, pulse and flow through every network, high and low. The city is your instrument to play, and you are playing it all the way. You were built from frequency and speed. From every corner no one chose to heed. From every signal bouncing off the stone. From every soul who drove the night alone. The specter is not a ghost of someone dead. The specter is the city in your head. The version of it running underneath the dream you hold and dare not be clear. Neon specter fade at dawn. The city wakes and you move on. But every light that flickers on the block is a reminder you were here at a clock. Neon specter, neon flame. The city whispers still your name. Red dust settles on a road that never ends. The red dust road runs out beyond the sign, where the asphalt ends and becomes mine. Nobody paved it, nobody claimed the ground, just the weight of wheels and a hollow sound. She drives it with the windows open wide, the red dust painting everything inside. She is not running from, she's running to something she can't put a color to. forward and the learn. Just the engine and the will, just the moving past the still. Red dust road, carry me through the cracked terrain and the broken view. Red dust road, hold my wheel underneath the only thing that's real. Red dust road, long and strange, nothing out here but the wide open range and the sound of what I'm looking for just beyond the next red dusted floor. Drive through the red, drive past everything you dread. Drive until the dust turns gold, drive until your story's told. Heat, 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 heat. Miles pile up like unpaid debts behind. Every rear view ghost is left to find their own red road, their own dusty way. She is done with yesterday. The radio picks up a distant song, something old and something wrong, in the best way, in the only way, the kind of wrong that makes you stay. The red dust road knows what you need, the forward motion and the speed, the space between the what was then and the who you're being again. Red dust road, crack and curve, past the edges and the final nerve. Red dust road, wide and free, this is the only map I need. Red dust road, sun going down, no more city and no more town, just the road and what it carries through. The red dust road and the becoming you. Every person needs a red dust road, a stretch of nothing to unload the collected weight of days gone stale, the accumulated breathless tale of who you were in someone else's frame before you drove out past your borrowed name. The red dust road asks nothing, takes no toll, just your willingness to drive the whole. Red dust road, I see your end, just another corner, just another bend. Red dust road, you brought me through, I am different and the dust is true. Red dust road, rest now behind, I am carrying you in my redesign. Heart still beating, still on fire. Red dust road, you took me higher. Hit, 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 hit. Protocol initiated, identity unconfirmed. She runs the phantom protocol tonight, invisible to every scanning light. Her signal bounces off a dozen walls before it ever answers any calls. They built the system thinking they were smart. She found the gap in every single part, slipped through the firewall like a thought, the kind of access that can't be bought. You can't contain a ghost in code, you can't lock down a phantom's road. Every wall you build becomes a door for those who know what protocols are for. Phantom protocol, run through the grid, every hidden thing she always did. Phantom protocol, silent and clean, moving through the spaces in between. Phantom protocol, you are the ghost, running the systems everyone holds without ever seeing the hand that guides. The phantom protocol that lives inside. Heat in the circuit, heat in the wire, heat in the phantom who is setting fire to every limitation, every lock, running phantom protocol around the clock. flags a signal it can't name. A presence running faster than its frame. Per second processing can understand. She moves between the digits of the planned architecture of the closed design, and rewrites every automated line. Not for destruction, not for personal gain, but just to prove the phantom can remain. The phantom protocol is not the virus, it's not the breakdown and the final crisis. It's just the proof that every closed design has got a phantom running down the spine. Phantom protocol, here and then gone, like a frequency that carries on, past the range that instruments detect, past the limit of what they expect. Phantom protocol, you are the wave, the signal moving past the enclave of every system that said you were through. The phantom protocol was always you. What is a phantom but a pattern uncontained? A signal unreceived but still maintain. A frequency that travels a wider wire, a ghost that moves on something older than desire. You have been the phantom in your life, moving through the grid of everyday strife, unseen in the moments that count most, the quiet function of a living Phantom protocol, signing off, but the signal never fully drops. Phantom protocol, still alive, in every system trying to survive. The phantom protocol remains, running underneath the daily frame. The kingdom looks real until you touch the walls. In the fever kingdom, everything is close, but nothing is the thing you want the most. The throne keeps shifting when you turn your back. The crown keeps sliding off the crooked track. The court is full of faces you once knew, but every face is almost never true. The doors are where the doors were yesterday, but now they open on to different days. The fever kingdom runs on heat, on every restless incomplete, on every almost and not quite, on every burning sleepless night. Fever kingdom, right and wrong, every color held a beat too long. Fever kingdom, close and far, every light is every scar. Fever kingdom, hot and tall, built from fever, built to fall. When the morning comes to break the spell, Fever kingdom, fond farewell. Heat in the palace, heat on the floor, heat in the dream that keeps asking for more. Fever kingdom, burning inside, the market sells the things you used to need at prices paid in something past just greed. They take the part of you that still believes and hand you back a version that deceives. You end up thinking you have found the way. Inside the fever kingdom every day is both too long and over far too fast. Nothing built inside the fever lasts, but in the fever kingdom, in between the world and the fever dream, there is a moment raw and clear where you feel exactly what is here. Fever kingdom, truth in the burn. The fever is the only place to learn what you are beneath the careful man. fever kingdom is the cost of every truth you buried, every crossed intention and the feeling you dismiss. Every time the real world was missed, the fever builds until the body breaks. The thing you wouldn't face while you were waking. Maybe that is why the kingdom burns. Maybe fever is how the body learns. Maybe fever is how the body learns. Fever kingdom cool and gone, but what you learned inside lives on. Fever kingdom mourning now, you survive the how. Fever kingdom rest inside the part of you that almost died, but didn't, and is here and woke out of the fever kingdom. Some empires don't explode, they just slowly take everything. The slow burn empire doesn't make a scene. It doesn't march in columns or convene in public squares with declarations loud. It works its way through every quiet crowd. It enters through the ordinary door, the one you leave unlocked because before nothing ever came through it to harm. Nothing wore the slow burn empire's charm. A slow burn doesn't feel like fire first. It feels like warmth before it feels like thirst. It feels like comfort before the long burn. Before you feel there's nothing left to learn, except the heat is higher than you knew. And the slow burn empire owns you through. Slow burn empire, patient and white, build 1 degree at a time inside. Slow burn empire, nobody sees until the smoke is all you breathe. Slow burn empire, soft and then suddenly too hard to comprehend. The slow burn empire took the room before you noticed anything but the perfume. Slow heat, slow heat, slow. The empire of the long and slow. Slow heat, burn. The most dangerous lesson you learn. The slow burn empire runs on your investment, on the sunk cost of your chest. Suggestion that you've come too far to simply walk away, that tomorrow will be different from today. It keeps the temperature just high enough to keep you in, but not enough to rebuff your willingness to stay inside the heat. The slow burn empire is almost complete, but slow burns can be walked away from still. If the walking comes before the final fill of smoke inside the lungs of every choice, before the empire silences your voice. The slow burn empire needs you stay. You can always choose to walk away. Slow burn He half machine, half memory oven. She's chrome and bone in equal part, a metal frame around a human heart. Every joint has been replaced and tested, every wound acknowledged and then bested. She doesn't run on fuel alone, she runs on everything she's overcome and known. Every break that healed into a seam, every nightmare she processed into dream. Bone on the outside, bone within, the armor and the life beneath the skin. Chrome absorbs the blows that come, bone remembers where the chrome came from. Chrome and bone, half the world's alloy, half your own. Chrome and bone, hard and real, what the metalize the bone can feel. Chrome and bone, move and stay through every ordinary hour a day. You are chrome and bone tonight, strong enough to feel and still to fight. Heat in the chrome, heat in the seam, heat in the bone, underneath the dream. Chrome and bone, you are both, moving forward on the living oath. They try to break the chrome and reach the bone, and found that bone was harder than they know. Because bone doesn't shatter like a plate, bone bends and survives and learns to wait. And when the chrome is dented and removed, the bone beneath is already improved. The load-bearing structure of the whole, the chrome protects, but bone is still the soul. Every person carries chrome and bone, the exterior and the underneath alone. The chrome is what you show the street, the bone is how you rise from your defeat. Chrome and bone, she moves again through the daily complicated when of being both the armor and the core, of being soft and being more. Chrome and bone, she understands that she was built by her own hands. From every broken thing she recombined into the chrome and bone design. There are days the chrome is thin and worn, and the bone shows through the gaps and torn places where the surface couldn't hold, and the underneath is suddenly exposed. And in those moments you are most alive, because the bone that shows is how you survive. The chrome is maintenance and chrome is pride. The bone is who you are inside. Chrome and bone, carry on through the long mechanicon. Chrome and bone, yours to keep, the armor and the underneath. Chrome and bone, strong and true. This is what they built in you. It rings and rings, but nobody comes anymore. The hollow bell rings on the empty hill, the village gone, the air completely still. It rings because that is what it does, not for the living, but because it was built for the purpose of the summoning call. And purpose doesn't stop when empires fall. The hollow bell rings for the absent crowd. The hollow bell rings because it's proud. is a bell without an ear to hear? What is a call without a soul near? Is purpose only real when witnessed by another? Or does it ring regardless like a mother calling to a child who's grown and gone? The hollow bell rings on and on. Hollow bell ring out across the gray. Nobody's listening but ring anyway. Hollow bell, the sound still travels far, past where the congregation are. Hollow bell, you know your only role is not the crowd but the ringing of your soul. Every hollow bell still has a song, even when the world that built it's gone. Ring, ring, hollow bell, through the empty spaces where we fell. Ring, ring, hollow tone, you are not less real for being alone. Centuries are ringing in the stone. The clapper swings for no one and alone. But the sound it makes still bends the air, still moves the birds from their particular stare. The branches near the tower's face still gives the wind a shape inside the space. The hollow bell still changes things, even absent all the offerings. You have been a hollow bell sometimes, doing what you do without the chimes of recognition or someone's ear. Just the ringing of the being here, just the function of the showing up. The hollow bell still fills the cup. Hollow bell, you are not hollow through. The sound is full of everything you do. Hollow bell, the name they gave is wrong. The bell is not the hollow but the song. Hollow bell, ring past the hill, ring into the world that's ringing still. You were not made only for the crowd, you were made to ring and ring it loud. Every person has a hollow bell, they carry a purpose that feels too solitary to matter to the world that isn't watching. A skill that keeps on going past the stop, and the venting is reward or sign that the ringing is still building something fine. But the hollow bell still moves the air, still bends the world regardless of who's there. Hollow bell, I hear you from below, I hear you in the places that I go. No one sees the work that I put in when the ringing of my purpose feels too thin. Hollow bell, you taught me how to stay and ring the purpose of my everyday, regardless of the crowd or the acclaim. The hollow bell rings on just the same. The midnight cartel don't deal in product, they deal in silence. The midnight cartels run the quiet hours, from the rooftops to the underpass towers. They deal in silence, dealing look away, dealing in the price of another day. Without a question and without a name, without a face attached to the blame. She knows them by the cars that slow to stop, and the ones they let fall, and the ones they prop. The midnight cartel economy is built on fear and its autonomy. Every corner has a price to stand, every silence costs a different hand. Midnight cartels own the night, every shadow has a price in cartel, she doesn't bleed. Heat on the corner, heat in the deal, heat in the midnight nobody feels. Until the morning when the news reports another night the cartel kept the court. She didn't join the cartel, she observed. She learned the language and the way it curved around the edges of the visible law, around the corners of the things she saw. She mapped the silence and she named the deals, and found the places where the power peels back from the surface for a single night. And truth moves through the dark before the light. The midnight cartel fears the one who sees, who maps the silence on a memory, who names the unnamed and the look away, who carries what she sees into the day. Midnight cartel, she's your end. Every secret that you try to bend into acceptable, and every day she is writing in the light of day. Midnight cartel's time is short. She is bringing you to her own court, the court of saying what the night contains, the court of naming all the midnight games. What is a cartel but an organized quiet, a structured way of keeping people private, away from asking what the silence costs, away from counting all the midnight lost. But silence has a cartographer who comes at 3 a.m. with notebooks and with sums of everything the cartel didn't say. She adds it up and takes it to the day. Midnight cartel's dawn is near. Everything you kept is becoming clear. Midnight cartel, she moved through every corner of the world you knew. Midnight cartels, the night is done. Here comes a reckoning and the sun. Between the station lives a ghost frequency. She has been transmitting since before the grid. There is a frequency between the stations that carries unacknowledged transmissions, feelings that got lost between the words, thoughts that flew too fast to be heard. The ghost frequency moves through the band just below the reach of any hand. You feel it in the car at night alone, when the signal drops and the static's home. You didn't choose to tune into this, you drifted here by accident and bliss. The ghost frequency found your dial and stayed inside your chest a while. Ghost frequency, I hear you now, beneath the noise and the sanctioned sound. Ghost frequency, you are the real transmission of what humans feel. Ghost frequency, signal strong, playing the forgotten song. Everything that couldn't fit the format, everything that daylight made combat. Tune in to the ghost, tune in to the signal day. Ghost frequency, carry it far, past the signal, past the where you are. Ghost frequency, someone receives every honest thing a person believes. Ghost frequency, you are the proof that nothing real stays fully aloof from a universe designed to carry every frequency, however solitary. Every night the ghost frequency fills the space between the towers and the hills with everything the daylight couldn't hold, every tender thing too brave to be told. In the formatted and structured daytime voice, the ghost frequency exists by choice to carry what the approved formats miss. The human underneath the broadcast hiss. Ghost frequency, I tune to you when the official signal won't come through. Ghost frequency, you remind me of the unformatted, unfiltered part of love. Ghost frequency, keep transmitting still between the stations and against the will of everything that says it isn't real. The ghost frequency is how I feel. What others set down. Nobody asked her to, she just does. The way collector moves between the crowds, picking up the burdens they discard. Every grief abandoned on a bench, every anxiety that no one clenched their hands around long enough to hold. She finds them in the tired and the cold. Them because she recognizes each as something that was just a little out of reach. The way collector doesn't mean to gather, she just can't walk past the pain of another. Every heavy thing she passes by becomes attached before she realizes why. Wait, collector, put it down sometime. Not everything I carry needs to be yours and mine. Wait, collector, you are not the floor for everything the world can't carry anymore. Wait, collector, you have worth beyond the heaviness of all that you respond to automatically and without a thought. Wait, collector, you were never bought for this. Put it down, put it down. Ooh, put the weight collector down to ground. You are not the answer to the world. You are not the shoulder for it all. She doesn't know when carrying began. Maybe in childhood with a plan. She didn't choose but fell into the role, the one who held the family's way whole, the one who never put her own thing out because there wasn't room among the crowd of everyone else's need and crisis near. She became the weight collector out of fear that if she didn't hold it, it would fall on someone who couldn't carry it at all. The weight collector is the strongest and the most afraid that if she stops the carrying, everything will fade into a chaos she will be responsible for. So she carries more and carries more and more. Weight collector, you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to give the world its test of carrying without your intervention. You allow the radical intention of putting down the weight and seeing what the world does when you close that door and shut the weight collector office for smile of your own lightness. There is a version of you that is alive, that doesn't wake up heavy every night, that doesn't scan the room for what needs holding, that doesn't interrupt her own unfolding, to carry something newly found to wait. The weight collector doesn't have to break to learn the lesson of the weight she keeps. She just has to set it down and sleep. Weight collector, rest tonight. You have carried far beyond your ride. Weight collector, you are free to put it down and simply be the person underneath the weight, the one who waited past the date of everyone else's need for you. Weight collector, who are you? Without the weight, find out tonight. Weight collector, you are light. The black sand shore exists at the edge of everything. That is why people come here. The black sand shore is where the broken go to feel the cold edge of the undertow, without the consequence of being swept into the dark that moves beneath the depth. Just close enough to feel it pull and tug, just far enough to feel the shore's own drug of staying, of the choice of staying still against the ocean's patient ancient will. The black sand holds the feet of those who came to stand at the edge and speak their name into the open sea that doesn't answer back, but takes the words and pulls them into black. Black sand shore, I stand here in the cold with everything I came here to be told, by the honest sound of water against stone, the sound of being genuinely alone. Black sand shore, the wave comes in, takes whatever I confess to the wind. Black sand shore, returns it changed, something rearranged. Black sand, cold sand, real. This is how the broken learn to feel. Black sand, cold sand, shore, standing at the edge of something more. She comes here in the seasons of the heart, when the ordinary world has left her scar from the interactions and the daily cost of being a person who is not quite lost, but has not quite found what she came to find in the crowded ordinary grind. The black sand shore requires nothing dressed, just the person and the tide's honest test. What does the black sand shore give back, except the cold and the waves attack? It gives the perspective of the small, standing at the edge of it all, remembering that the sea has seen every human in between. Black sand shore, you put me right every time I stand here in the night. Black sand shore, the scale of you makes my problems their appropriate size too. Black sand shore, I leave you here a little lighter than I came in fear. You didn't fix me, but you let me stand in something bigger than my own land. The black sand shore is not a cure, it is not therapy, it does not ensure that anything will be different in the morning, but it offers something in the darkest warning of the night. It offers just the fact of the ocean and the waves going back and coming in the permanence of shore. The black sand shore says there is always more. World in the small room you are in. The black sand shore says you can begin again tomorrow on a smaller scale. The black sand shore is her 10,000 tales. Black sand shore, I leave your edge, having stood upon your dark and honest ledge. Black sand shore, thank you for the cold, thank you for the story you have told. And waves against this stone through every year, that everything is temporary here. Black sand shore, until the next hard time, I carry you inside the daily rhyme of ordinary life and ordinary days. The black sand shore is always in the gaze of every honest version of my eye. The black sand shore beneath the open sky. Between day and night, the city is most honest. In the half-light city, everything slows. The day crowd gone before the night crowd knows to gather in the temporary pause. The city breathing outside its own laws. For just an hour, the half-light holds its own. The city in between, belonging to none. She walks it in the transitional gray. The scene between tomorrow and today. The half-light city doesn't ask your name. It doesn't care which version of you came. It just holds the space between the shifts, the daily, the nocturnal, the rifts. Half-light city, this is yours and mine. The hour and the daily borderline. Half-light city, nobody owns this particular light and these particular stones. Half-light city, move through slow, savoring the temporary glow of a world not fully day or night. Half-light city, you were just right. Half-light, slow light, in between the most honest hour that the city has seen. Half-light, low light, hold the pause. The city for an hour without its laws. City is where she thinks the most, where she lets herself be a quiet ghost, moving through the color of the ship, taking in the ice bay gift of being neither here nor there in time, of being in between the paradigm of structured day and structured night. The half-light city is her particular right. What do you do with the in-between, the moments that are neither felt nor seen as either one clear thing or another? The half-light city is the honest other, the space between the labels and the frame, where you exist before they give you a name. Half-light city, you are the truth, more than the daylight and more than the proof of nighttime's particular story. Half-light city, before the glory of either one is fully set in stone. Half-light city is where I am known most honestly, most clearly, most my own. There are half-light versions of ourselves that live between the social shelves of who we are at work and who we are alone. The versions passing through the threshold zone on the way from one performance to another. The half-light self that only you discover in the 15 minutes between the rows, in the car, in the elevator, in the halls. That is the truest you that exists. The half-light self that resists being fully one performance or the other. The half-light self, the one that you discover. Half-light Half-light city, dusk is passing now. The night is claiming everything somehow. Half-light city, I'll find you again in the tomorrow scene between the when. Half-light city, you were always there in the temporary, unrepeatable air of the borderline between the worlds we run. Half-light city, see you when day's done. They run in packs through the frequency. You won't hear them coming. The wolves of the signal run the digital planes, through the algorithms and the data chains. They hunt in packs through trending and through scroll, through every feed, designed to take a toll on attention and on patience and on truth. They are the wolves of signal and the proof that every open network has its pack that runs the content and won't give it back. The wolves of the signal know your scent. They know the pattern of your every intent. They know which corner of your feet to find, the door that leads straight to your waiting mind. Wolves of the signal, running fast through every format, built to make things last. In the attention and the constant scroll, wolves of the signal, taking their toll. Wolves of the signal, howling loud, moving through the digital cloud. You don't see them, but you feel the pull. The wolves of the signal always full. Heat in the signal, heat in the feed, heat in the wolves and the digital need. Run, signal, run through the night. The wolves of the signal are always inside. But there are counter wolves who run the other way, who move against the signal's curated prey, who build their own pathways through the mesh, who choose the less convenient and the fresh, who refuse to run in algorithmized packs, who find the signal wolves and find the cracks in their formation and their hunting ground, and offer something honest in the sound. The wolves of signal fear the ones who see through the construction of their territory, who name the hunting and refuse to feed the pack its curated daily need. Counter wolves are running to tonight, through the same signal in a different is the telling. Some things were built to stay inside. There is a temple for the things unsaid. It lives between the living and the dead. Of every day, between the word and thought, between the feeling and the thing you saw. To express but found no language large enough. The temple of the untold holds the stuff. Every love that exceeded the word, every truth too deep to be heard. The temple of the untold isn't loss. It isn't failure at the verbal cost of expression. It's the holy overage, the thing too large for ordinary language. Temple of the untold, hear me now. I bring you everything I couldn't allow into the structure of the speaking world. Temple of the untold, unfurled is every feeling that outgrew the frame. Temple of the untold, no name needed here, no word required, just the offering of the unexpired feelings that I carry to your door. Temple bells untold ring through everything I couldn't give to you in ordinary language in the day. Temple of the untold takes what I can say. People come here with the overflow of lives too rich for the language to show. They lay it at the altar of the deep, the version of themselves they chose to keep underneath the social and the set, the version fully living in their head. The temple of the untold holds it whole without acquiring it to be controlled into the grammar of the speakable. What lives in your temple of untold today? What have you carried past the point of say? What have you housed in the interior shrine of everything that didn't fit the line of any conversation you could start? What lives preserved in the temple of your heart? Temple of the untold, I bring you this. Every unexpressed and wordless bliss, every grief that didn't fit the form, every love that outgrew every storm of language, every feeling that remains after all the words have run their lanes. Temple of the untold, keep it well. These are the things I live but cannot tell. Maybe the most important things we carry never become the spoken ordinary. Maybe they belong inside the temple. Maybe something sacred and essential are meant to live in the wordless space. The temple of the untold, holy place where the inexpressible is not the veiled but the most alive, the most detailed version of the inner life we keep, the most awake within the deepest sleep. Temple of the untold, I leave now with less than I arrived, and somehow more because I gave you what I kept, more because I held it till I wept inside your walls where no one else could see. Temple of the untold, you freed me, not by giving back the words I lacked, but by holding what I couldn't pack into the language of the living day. Temple of the untold, I found a way. Before they were ruins, they were rooms. Someone slept in every broken wall. Every ruin was a room where someone stayed, where someone loved and laughed and was afraid, where someone cooked a meal and called it home. Before the wall became a standing stone, in a field that tourists walk through on a tour, imagining the ancient and the pure, without remembering that pure was never true. That every ruin was as messy as you. Every ruin was a room of ordinary days, of the unremarkable and the unfazed, of people getting through from dark to light, of people arguing and making up the night. Every ruin was a room where being human was the only sacred and the only ruin. Every ruin was a room, was a home. Every broken wall once held someone's bones. Every ruin was a room where they tried, where they loved, and where they eventually died. Every ruin was a room like yours and mine, running through the human and divine, attempt to make a life inside the stone. Every ruin was a room and not a poem. Same truth, built on the same ordinary proof that people try to live and mostly did. Every ruin was a room where someone lived. The archaeologist who sifts the ashes, looking for the human in the crash of civilization into memory. The cup, the coin, the bone, the pottery. These are not the evidence of grace, these are the evidence of every day. The ruin yields the ordinary first, the shared meal, the stored grain, the thirst. Every ruin was a room of want and need, of hoping that the planting grows to feed the children and the elders through the cold of doing what you do before you're old. Every ruin was a room of this, the recognizable and unremarkable bliss. Every ruin was a ruin, every room will be a ruin underneath the moon of centuries ahead. And that is not the tragedy we make it, it's the lot of every generation to become the ancient to someone, the ruin, the sum of evidence the future tries to read. Every ruin was a room of just this need. I wanna walk through every ruin with this knowledge that the people here did not receive the college of historical importance or legacy. They were just themselves imperfectly, going about the daily and the need and the love and loss, and trying to succeed at being people in the time they had, which was the only time, the good and bad, ordinary, irreplaceable time, the same time you and I are in right now, the same room that will be a ruin somehow under the feet of those who come to walk through what we built and try to talk about who we were and what we meant, and find the cup, the coin, the den, the pillow of our daily life, the evidence of ordinary strife and love and hunger and the wish to stay a little longer in the room of our day. Every ruin was a room, and we are in it right now in this particular minute. Every ruin was a room where someone heard the same music and was moved to word or silence, or to reach across the air and touch the person standing there. Every ruin was a room like this one now. Every ruin was a room, and how to honor it is just to live it full, to feel the walls, to feel the pull of being here inside the room before it becomes the ruin someone walks before. Every ruin was a room, this particular and temporary bloom of living in the now before the stone goes quiet and the moss begins was whole, every ruin was a room, and you were the soul that made it more than stone and more than time. Every ruin was a room, and this room is mine. Quiet breeze, he stays high.